Hi, I'm Zine, and welcome to Black Women Engineered Motion. This space was born out of my deep love for storytelling, technology, and the incredible strength of black women in motion, whether that's in engineering, leadership, creativity, or life itself. I'm here to shine a light on voices that often go unheard, to celebrate brilliance in all its forms, and to have real conversations that move us forward. Each episode, I'll be sitting down with women who are breaking boundaries, redefining success, and engineering their own paths. So whether you're tuning in from your commute, your lab, or your living room, I'm so glad you're here. Let's build, learn, and move together. Welcome to Black Women Engineered Motion, the podcast where young voices meet the women who inspire motion in engineering, leadership, science, and the skies above. Today, we're taking flight with Captain Amina, one of Nigeria's first female commercial pilots and a proud ambassador for women of color in aviation. Captain Amina, thank you for joining us. It's a real honor.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here and to be speaking with some incredible young minds today.
Let's begin right there. The aviation industry. It's still a field where women, and especially women of color, are massively underrepresented. What's been your experience in that space?
You're absolutely right. Globally, women make up only around 5% of pilots. And when you zoom in on Black women or African women, the numbers are even smaller, sometimes less than 1%. That kind of imbalance can feel lonely, but it also fuels my mission. I want young girls, especially girls of color, to see someone like them in the cockpit and know they belong there too.
Captain Amina, let's talk about the industry itself. Aviation is often seen as glamorous, but behind the scenes, it's a world shaped by tradition, strict regulations, and, sometimes, invisible barriers. What drew you to aviation, and what did you first notice about its culture?
For me, it was always about the freedom of flight and the challenge. But as soon as I entered flight school, I realized I was often the only woman, and almost always the only Black woman. The culture can be welcoming, but there's definitely an old boys club feel, especially in certain airlines.
Emirates, where you've spent part of your career, is known for its high standards and international crew. What's the reality behind the reputation, especially for women and people of color?
Emirates is unique. It brings together people from all over the world, which is inspiring. But even there, leadership and pilot rosters are still mostly men. I was often one of just a handful of women in the cockpit, and even fewer women of color. The company's training and support are world-class, but diversity in senior roles and pilot seats is still an area where improvement is needed.
Why do you think there are so few women and people of color in these roles, even in such a global industry?
Are so many factors. Access is a big one. Flight training is expensive, and historically it's been passed down through connections or family. There are also cultural expectations and biases. In some places, flying isn't seen as a woman's job. And then, once you're in, the lack of mentors who look like you can make it tough to imagine yourself advancing.
What needs to change to open these doors wider?
We need scholarships, outreach, and visible role models. But it's also about changing the culture, valuing different perspectives, challenging stereotypes, and creating pathways for young people who might never have imagined they could fly. When airlines and schools invest in diversity, everyone benefits. The industry becomes more creative, resilient, and welcoming.
That's beautifully said. Thank you for sharing your experiences, both the challenges and the hope for change. It's clear that your journey is about more than flying planes. It's about opening the skies for everyone. Did you ever feel like you had to work twice as hard to be seen or taken seriously?
All the time. When I was starting out, people didn't expect to see a woman flying, let alone a Black woman. There were times I'd walk into a cockpit and people assumed I was the flight attendant. But with every hour of flight time, every certification, every safe landing, I knew I was proving not just my ability but creating space for others to follow.
That's incredibly powerful. You've become a symbol of possibility. And today's episode is all about that, giving girls and young women a chance to ask you their own questions directly. So, shall we begin?
Absolutely.
Captain Amina, what made you want to fly a plane?
Hi Maya, I love your name by the way. When I was your age, I'd look up at the sky and wonder what it felt like to be up there, free and flying. That wonder never left me.
Did you ever feel like giving up?
Yes, many times, especially when people told me this isn't a job for women. But every time I wanted to give up, I reminded myself of that little girl who looked at the sky and dreamed. I couldn't let her down.
Wow, point. How do you fly a plane? Is it like driving a car?
That's such a good question, Zari. It's a little bit like driving, but with more buttons, more rules, and a whole lot more freedom.
What was your training like? Did you go abroad?
I did. I trained both in Nigeria and later in South Africa. It was intense. Early mornings, late nights, theory tests, and practical flying. But every challenge was worth it.
Aviation. What do you wear when you fly?
Great question, Jamila. We wear a pilot's uniform, usually dark blue or black, with stripes on the shoulders that show your rank. And yes, I wear my wings with pride.
How did it feel to do your first solo flight?
I was nervous. My hands were shaking. But once I was in the air, something clicked. I smiled the whole time. It was the first time I truly felt like a pilot.
Do you ever get to talk to the passengers?
Yes! Sometimes we speak to them from the cockpit, especially during takeoff and landing. I also love stepping out to say hello before a flight, especially when I see young girls. I want them to know they can do this too.
What kept you going when people doubted you?
My faith, my family, and a deep belief that my dream mattered. I also looked up to other women doing amazing things. Engineers, doctors, entrepreneurs. If they could break barriers, so could I.
Captain Amina, you've flown all over the world and inspired so many. But I have to ask, do you have any flying stories that stand out? Maybe something funny, challenging, or just unforgettable?
Oh, there are so many. Let me tell you about the time I was flying into Nairobi. We hit a patch of unexpected turbulence. My co-pilot and I were calm, but suddenly someone's lunchbox flew up and landed perfectly in my lap. I looked at my co-pilot and we both just burst out laughing. It was a reminder that even in high-pressure moments, you need to find a little humor and stay focused, of course.
That's amazing. I guess you never know what's going to happen up there. Has there ever been a flight that really challenged you?
Definitely. There was a night flight over the Sahara, and we had to divert because of a sandstorm. The visibility dropped and I could feel my heart racing. But I remembered my training, trusted my instruments, and communicated with my crew. When we landed safely, I felt this huge wave of relief and pride. It was a powerful lesson in staying calm and working as a team.
Those moments must really stick with you.
They do. Every flight is different. There are days when you see the sunrise above the clouds, or a little girl waves at you from the terminal, and you remember why you love this job. And there are tough days too, but every moment teaches you something new.
What would you say to young people watching who dream of flying or just want to chase their dreams?
Cherish every moment, big or small. The challenges, the funny surprises, the victories, they all add up to your story. And remember, it's okay to be scared sometimes. That just means you're doing something that matters.
Thank you for sharing these stories, Captain Amina. You remind us all that the journey is just as important as the destination.
Can girls be pilots too?
Absolutely. Girls can be pilots, engineers, astronauts, anything. If you love it, go for it.
What advice would you give to a young woman who's unsure of herself?
Start with what excites you, not what others expect of you. You don't have to be perfect, just be persistent. Confidence grows with action.
Have you ever flown in bad weather?
Yes, and it can be tricky, but we're trained for it. And safety always comes first. Every flight has a plan, and we always have backup options.
What's next for you, Captain Amina?
I'm working on mentoring young women and helping more girls enter aviation. I also hope to one day start a flight school just for women in Africa.
Captain Amina, I have to say, the wisdom you've shared today and the way you've connected with these young voices, it's been powerful.
Thank you. Honestly, this has been one of my favorite conversations. Hearing these thoughtful, fearless questions, it reminds me why representation really matters.
And you've become that representation, that beacon.
I try to be, but I also want every girl listening to know you don't have to wait to be perfect. Start where you are. Ask questions. Dream recklessly. That's where it begins.
Well, we're certainly dreaming bigger after today. Thank you again for being here, Captain Amina.
My pleasure. And to every future pilot, engineer, or sky chaser listening, I'll see you in the clouds.
This has been Black Women Engineered Motion.
Keep moving, keep building, keep flying.